Okay, welcome. Because there was so much stuff to say in the last video, I didn't get to half of it. Uh, if you guys don't know this already, to understand any new video that I've uploaded, you should have at least watched the several videos that have come before it. Or even more, really, to gain a greater understanding. Whether the videos are titled under a different title or not doesn't change the flow of information. The titles, in a way, kind of just speak about the condition of the information and how we're going to view it in that condition. But yet the information is all a part of the same whole. It's the same story. It's the same singular event that is unfolding before our eyes. For some of us, it's going to unfold as a beautiful flower. And for others, that flower is going to wilt. All because of some ergot choices. And we're going to explore what that really means. Take a look here at the picture before I begin, because I'm going to fill in a lot of blanks. It's going to be some things that we've kind of talked about before with the ephah that comes from Zechariah chapter 5. But in light of some of these new ways to view these images here that you see in front of you and how they connect to Revelation 12, everything about it, and of course how it connects to Zechariah 4 and 5. You're going to gain a greater understanding. What you should, if you have not already, and you're really in denial if you're not admitting this, what you should begin to realize is the fractal of truth. That there is no way to deny what I'm showing you. There's nobody out there that can debunk what I'm showing you. It doesn't matter if they come from some of these secret societies. It doesn't matter if they come from another planet. They're not going to be able to take any of this information as I show it to you and show it to you any way differently. They might be able to quickly rebuttal it, mock it, slander it, accuse it, and make some comedy videos, but that really just shows their immaturity, and they're not able to actually assimilate the information themselves. They're just too spiritually immature. So we have to do our best to continually unfold this into a level of understanding that can be received by all the levels of maturity that we have. And that's really what I'm going to try to do here. So, as I said, it is absolutely important to have watched the multiple previous videos that have led up to this. It will also help you if you watch a video series entitled Tares, Wheat, Ergot, and Israel, or the moon, I think. But it has something to do with tares, wheat, and ergo in the title. There's probably a couple of videos like that that you must watch. They will give you a very thorough, summarized overview of all the things I'm going to kind of talk about here. And if you're missing any information that you don't understand, you can probably find it in those videos. All right, the first thing off the bat here, I'm going to read to you some more things out of Zechariah that will connect to the song Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Basically the same connections we made, we just didn't go over it in its fullness. As I read this, I want you to look here at the picture again. This is the picture that I showed yesterday in the last video. Now I've combined it with this image here of the Ouroboros, the macro and the micro prosopis, which you should understand is a part of their mystery, religion, esoteric symbolism. And of course, this is connected to Freemasonry and many other mystery societies that even come way before Freemasonry. Of course, you should understand that we see what many people call the Star of David, that I call the star tetrahedron or the tetrahedral. It would be circumscribed tetrahedral geometry when you put this tetrahedral within a sphere. And as you can see, that's exactly what's taken place. Now, what I've done is I have already inverted the symbol. This is the way that it would be shown to you if you were to open a book and look at it or view it. This is the upright version. You should notice that there is the serpent coming around and eating his tail. We know that Inky is the Nehesh. Out of the mouth of the eater shall come forth meat. As I told you in the other video, that meat is going to be the doctrine of himself, his own self-vanity, the very thing that caused him to fall, and then, of course, be a part of the delusions of this world. It's kind of important that you see the Christian cross, which is so very close to the serpent's mouth. And if you viewed some other videos that I did, you understand what that means within the fractal, at least what their objective is. Now, the macroprosopis loosely means the Father above in their perspective. And then the microprosopis means the Son below. Now notice here in the picture that we see the Sun that is below is sealed underneath the waterline. And to understand the very heavy-duty spirit intricities that concern that, you should watch a video series entitled We Are the 50. This waterline represents the level of fifth dimension, which I call the field of choice. You can either go up or you can go down. We realize who is down, and we also realize who they think is up is not. He is also fallen. But nonetheless, they're showing us the perspective of the waterline. It's also very important to notice behind all of this, what do we see so subtly applied? We see the Iron Cross. Now, what have I told you about the Orion Cross and everything that we went through with that Black Widow that actually has one portion of the Orion Cross, the hourglass on her abdomen? And we know that the hourglass represents sealing. It represents the consummation of their crimes coming to the full. In other words, this second cup. Now, we need to understand that this Black Widow, we know, is trying to birth something, as it's cited in Rev 12, as it's cited in Zechariah 5. If we're dealing with Israel, we know that Israel has rejected Jesus Christ and the truth of the gospel that he brings. They have counted his words as a strange thing. More importantly, they say in the Bible itself, I think within the book of Hosea, it describes that Israel and Ephraim have counted his laws as a strange thing. Now, what are the two laws, the two greatest commands of Jesus Christ? Love your neighbor as yourself, love God with all your might. This is what they cannot fathom because of their race doctrines, which is all sewn up in their pride doctrines about their nationality, their origin. They have been made to feel that they're some select and elect and privileged, and that everyone else is to bow basically to their interpretation of the word. When in all reality, we know that the word comes as the spirit of truth to the firm believer in the spirit of truth, and there is no racism within the spirit of truth whatsoever. So it goes deeper than that, but we always have to realize that bound up within this deception as they are deceived, it is really bound up in racism. All of this goes back to genetics. And then if you remember in the movie Night of the Comet that I did the breakdown on, the main character was called Regina. Regina is the figurative Ishtar, the Regener. As I told you, it's a stock exchange. The stock is the cattle. They're trying to bring in the fallen stock and replace it with the original stock that was given dominion over this world. So there's a lot of things to put into perspective from many distant understandings that you might not yet have channels that are spitting nothing but coded CNN stories, because all that's about preoccupation. They're purposely putting these heavy duty codes and putting these heavy duty deceptions for you guys to spend your time figuring out. And it's just going to run you in a circle. It's just going to run you in a circle. What you really need to be paying attention to, everybody on both sides of the fence, is what I'm showing you right here, because it's for everyone. It's for everyone. This is what everyone needs to understand, to see what's happening. The lower initiates have been duped by the higher initiates. The higher initiates have been duped by the high spirit fallen beings. It's just been one deception after another, and then now we see the lowly footworkers, the lowest of the initiates, are running around like chickens with their head cut off, acting like raving lunatics because they have no idea what's going on. They are in turmoil because their doctrines are crumbling before their face, but yet they're still trying to cling to this temptation that they are somehow going to be rewarded as some sort of God if they can just go forth with their agenda. When in all reality, as I've told you before, you are going to suffer the consequences of your own actions. You are going to live within your own repercussional choices. You cannot deny that. You cannot deny that. That's why Jesus is plainly telling you. But it means so much more when you know all this, when he says, do unto others as you would have done unto you. When you do something to others that you would not want done to you, in the very fullness of the universe perspective, you find out that you are eventually bringing this to your own door. You can't run from yourself. So, as we see that this is all also about a birthing moment, and as I told you, the birthing moment is about conquering the seal. Now, I've put this in perspective as the sixth seal, but that's just in perspective of that seal as it's been broken at that portion. In reality, this contains all the seals, 0 through 8, and that's a whole nother fullness of video understanding to explain how all of that fits in. But as we know that their king, their Apollyon. Now you got to think about an ancient sun god known as Apollo, and then you unify Apollo with Apollyon, and you can begin to see how their dark prince, Enki, the Nahesh, the serpent, is associated with the sun god Utu Shemesh, but in a very intricate spiderweb woven sort of way that is, from their perspective, it's a way to keep the initiates under control and to just give them the amount of knowledge that they want them to have so that they don't see too far into the distance and realize what's really going on while they still have their sanity within them and begin to look for the truth in another direction away from this tear out, from this mark of the clawing beast that is tearing like we see in this Monster Energy drink. That's going to come up with a video that I'm going to do about working wood and about the narrow path, the singular path. Look for this video that I upload. I might do it today. It should blow your minds, everyone's mind, even mine. It already has. So I forgot the time limit again here. I apologize for whatever you guys miss. It's unfortunate, but yet I still have to get through it. So my point is, let's go ahead and invert this triangle. We see the Orion cross. It's the crossing of the genetics of the Murray clay with that iron. And then we know that this iron in Job is described as being taken out of the earth. Now, we know that these beings have been sealed below in a two-part form, physically and spiritually. Their fallen prince is sealed spiritually, but it's in such a way that is different from the spiritual sealing of the lesser spirit beings that are involved with his order. And it's certainly different than the physical beings that are sealed in an actual civilization that they are seeking to bring out upon this world. The fallen prince is sealed from the dominion of man. he is sealed from affecting the personal will choice of a believer of the firm truth of Jesus Christ, which means he is unable to go against your will. Your will must be broken, and your will is associated with this tetrahedral seal that we see in Revelation is described, that all of the believers, the true believers that are sealed with the living God in their foreheads, cannot be hurt by these locusts. Now, I could show you a diagram of the human head that would show you how this seal shows you where this true cross of Jesus Christ, as he is seeking to be put up upon, is the third eye. This will all come up later in the understanding of the parable of the two brothers and the singular eye notion. As I said, it's not as many would believe it is. So now let's get back to our black widow. Our widow that has been widowed from her black prince. Now, as we invert this symbol, what do you see instantly take place? Well, you see the inverted triangle right there. And notice that it's black. And notice that it seamlessly flows into a whole nother information that is not connected in any way on the surface. But as you see with sight, spirit sight, guidance of the spirit of truth, the understanding of the fractal, the ability to see all layers at once, you see that everything connects seamlessly in the hands of somebody that understands how to see it. Now, the inverted triangle is the symbol for the sacred feminine. The sacred feminine is all about birthing something into this world. As I told you, it goes back to the genetics, the female genetics XX, which, as you can see, here is our XXXX for the chromosome genetic orientation of a woman. All about breaking the seal, as I've told you before. So who are they trying to birth in that has been sealed within this waterline that is associated with the Iron Cross? Well, it's their prince son, because you know a prince is a son of the king. Their king is Lucifer, as I told you. The one that they see that is on high really is not. He's actually lower than this guy at this point, but not sealed within our world. There's a whole nother location in which we see Lucifer and the actual true Satan are sealed. You would understand that if you could read the Bible correctly and correctly divide the word. I've already shown it, but I've shown it over the space of many videos. A lot of people have probably lost their retention to understand it. Nonetheless, they are seeking to birth their dark prince by manipulating the seal, bring him through the waterline, which is the 5D, which is the field of choice, which is basically your will. They have to manipulate your will, break your will, and get you to believe that this serpent is bringing some sort of wisdom that you yourself want. Now, it's very easy to see. We see hundreds, if not thousands upon thousands of people, at least on YouTube, that are promoting this, that have been deceived, that are immature, that do not have any grace of poise of spirit about them whatsoever. And some of them actually go around howling like wolves to even prove the parable of Jesus Christ that describes that they come to you initially like sheep, but in the end, they are ravening wolves. Well, that fractal has been fulfilled by many of these agents that are running around howling on this channel. And I still offer them the truth. I don't reject them. I don't send them away. But I do hope that they will begin to pay attention. The fractal of truth that is in the world around you, that is instilled in the world around you, the natural world, the very same world that you think you're trying to get back to, that has some sort of connection to God for you. Well, I'm trying to show you the connection to the God that it has for you is the Spirit of Truth, Jesus Christ, who has instilled these truths and then has brought about seers throughout time on this world to show these to the people so that they could receive actual confirmation in their daily experience. But as we know, many of us are stoned. So if she's trying to birth the dark prince, there's our sacred feminine. There's our chromosome genetics. We know who it's associated with, the iron cross with the Murray clay, everything that I have broken down in heavy detail. He is sealed within the water word of Jesus Christ. Now, his occupation within the Now, the water is the knowledge, but his occupation within the knowledge, now as those go to him while he is sealed within the knowledge, he now perverts the knowledge as he gives it back out to them. And of course, we know that his MO is darkness. And in darkness, you cannot see very well. As we know that many of these people are blind. That's why they look to these illuminated ones as candles in this darkness to see. But as we see that these candles that believe they are illuminated are only illuminating this light in secret, which Jesus Christ is going to speak out against in a particular verse of chapter 11, verse 33. And it's no accident that it's Luke 11:33. No accident, because he is speaking exactly to who the fruition of the lost sheep, the false house of Israel, would become in these last days. The very same people that I'm speaking to. The very same people that I sought out for the first year of this channel. And I found them. And I now have them exactly where we would like them. And instead of them being exposed to all of their occult teachings because someone like this channel is not here, now we see where their attentions are. Now we see that in the video that I have said, stay centered, we see where these people are centered upon. Now, they don't believe in Jesus Christ and the understanding that we know in the fullness. So the first thing I have to do is to get them centered upon the message of Jesus Christ that is coming through someone like me. And it's worked perfectly. And as you can see, all eyes, all darkened eyes are on this channel. It's exactly what we want. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. So there's our Black Madonna, who is now seeking to birth the Dark Prince. Now, the understanding of darkness is absolutely so crucial. It associates itself with the dark side of the moon, which is going to be their Shinar, which will be their secret place, which you have patience will fulfill in that parable from Luke 11:33, which will then pair up with Zechariah chapter 4, which you will begin to see something that so many people have yet to understand. And the angel that talked with me came again and waked me as a man that is wakened out of his sleep. Now, this angel, as we know, and if you understand some of the things that I have told you, it's not what these people perceive it is. And currently, at this time, it's probably not what you think it is. I'm just going to leave that open at this time and just continually allow you to assimilate the information as you're able. And the angel that talked with me came again and waked me as a man that is wakened out of his sleep. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick all of gold. A candlestick all of gold. Think about that very seriously. And then this is where we're going to pair up with the parable from Jesus in Luke chapter 11, verse 33. And it says, And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick all of gold. If you remember the video series that I did about the Night of the Comet, who this Hank Goldman was, okay, basically their cowboy savior, their moo ruler, their moo cow ruler, because he has come through the birthing of the sacred feminine of our females that they perceive as cows, as birthing vehicles. So when you want to talk about an apple, or at least the symbolism of the apple in the Garden of Eden, you've got to realize that it's many things at one time. That's what the fractal is. So the apple represents the knowledge also of good and evil. But at the same time, the apple represents the embryo, the implantation of a seed or an egg. If you were to look up the word morula, Morula, I think that's the spelling. Now, if I was to say that with my understanding, I would break the word down and I would say mu, as in cow, mu, ruler, mu, ruler. Now, as we know, all of this is about a birthing point. It's about a consummation. It's about bringing something in, is it not? So when we see that this knowledge that was offered in Eden tempted man and deceived him, as I've told you, that knowledge was only given to the select elite that he chose, all the daughters of men of which he thought were fair. He gave them this knowledge to deceive them with the temptation that they would become God, so that they would do the work to bring him as a God man into this world. As we see, they have followed that temptation. They have followed that carrot before their ass donkey face for so long, and they have pulled him in the cart almost to the finish line at this point. Almost. So the morula is an embryo. Matter of fact, any organism, any organic life goes through the initial first stage of a morula. From a plant to an animal entity is known in its first embryonic state as a morula, and then that is called in scientific circles, they simply call that an apple. And if you haven't seen the video series that I did entitled Reprogram Serpent Egg, you can see everything about it in heavy detail that will explain everything that I'm not going to take the time to right now. So they're trying to birth something here. So we're seeing something about this golden candlestick, and you're going to find out that this golden candlestick is none other than the God of the earth. Now, Jesus Christ is not the God of the earth, certainly not in the Old Testament times, because if you can truly divide the word in the Bible, you see that Jesus Christ has yet to receive his inheritance. He has not yet inherited the earth. He has created the universe, he has created the earth and all its creatures. But Jesus Christ puts himself through the image of his creations in 7 consecutive bestowals. Our planet was the 7th bestowal, where Jesus Christ was going to complete his final act as living the life of one of his creatures as he expected them to live it. Jesus Christ asks nothing of you that he himself did not already put himself through. So if you feel that you're up on the cross of persecution right now, you better believe that Jesus Christ has already been on the cross of persecution before you and overcame it. If you believe in him, you'll overcome the persecution also. You will overcome their millstone. So listen again. And said unto me, what seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick all of gold. That is their Ankh Goldman that we saw in the movie that Regina is trying to bring about by knocking out Sam, her little sister, the red, white, and blue. And then as we see, the knocking out of Sam is akin to the understanding of truth serum, which is sodium pentothal. We know that Enki has used these pins to emit his black ink of dark truth over the words of truth within the Bible. So the sodium, we know that that's salt. We're talking about a salt that's lost its savior. Enki would be the chief salt that's lost his savior. Now the sodium pentothal that is used as truth serum, you know, is faulty. If you research what truth serum is, you will see that it is not actually working. That what it does is it knocks the person generally and renders them unconscious. Well, now we would go back to Kony, that subversive code that we see on YouTube, Kony, which really means knock out New York. In other words, the truth movement on YouTube with channels like Du Bois 7, 777 AEJ, and a whole host of others, Stirring the Deep, it just continues. These people are about the deceptive truth. Now, nonetheless, they believe in their truth as the reality, but they're not being open to their subscribers. They're deceiving many people and wanting you to believe that they're connected to Jesus Christ in the way that you have all been taught about him. But in reality, at the same time, they are twisting and contorting it to get you to look to another. And of course, they're getting. Okay, hopefully I caught the timing there. Okay, so this candlestick, we'll see that Jesus Christ is going to tell us more about it. It says, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps therein, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps. Now that's 777. Now we know that 777 AEJ. This is what she's talking about. But we also know that there's another perfection of Trinity of 777 for the understanding of our side. But I'll just have to explain that in a whole other video. It'll take us off target here. So it describes the 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl and the other upon the left side of the bowl. So important. So I answered and spake to the angel that talked with me, saying, what are these, my Lord? Then the angel that talked with me answered and said unto me, knowest thou not what these be? And I said, no, my Lord. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, this is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel means a descendant of Babel. Now, this is all about ecclesiastical Babylon going to the land of Shinar. Shinar is Babylon. It's the capital of Babylon, but it's the capital of their new Babylon because they're about to destroy the commercial Babylon. So the ecclesiastical Babylon is the secret place on the dark side of the moon. That is Shinar. So then he said unto me, then he answered and spake unto me, saying, this is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Who art thou, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel? Now I told you who these great mountains were. They are these verted and inverted triangles. As we should see here, if I just pull back a little bit, this one triangle right here is like the peak of a mountain. The other one inverted is like a peak of a mountain. As we see, this Zerubbabel is talking about moving these mountains. In other words, moving the seal of this polarity. But we'll just have to wait before I can go into the full depth of that. I'm supposed to be doing a video for like the last half year about the seal, which I've got so much stuff to say. It's hard to get to it. I feel like I just got to keep giving a stronger foundation to be able to get people to realize this. So, where art thou, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel? Thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shoutings, crying, grace, grace, grace unto it. Now, the headstone that they're trying to bring about, as we see, is this golden candlestick, the Lord of the earth. Now, we see that this descendancy of Babel is the one that is supposed to restore and finish the restoration of the temple. The descendancy of Babel is supposed to restore the temple? What you think about is this Jerusalem place over in the Middle East? It's not. It's not at all. When they're talking about the temple, Jesus Christ told you what the temple is. It's talking about the body. They're going through a huge occultic, ritual, esoteric agenda of manipulating the dark matter, the genetic structure of the material world to bring about this fallen light being within its tetrahedral sealed geometry. That's the whole reason why Masonry and these ancient societies are obsessed with geometry, whether the lower initiates know it or not. And even the higher initiates might not know the full understanding as it's been presented here thus far. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hand shall also finish it. So these descendants of Babylon have laid the foundation, and now they are still the ones that are to finish it. So this ecclesiastical Babylon is to finish the finalization of the temple in a physical and also a spiritual means. So we know that the temple Zion is dry place. The dry place that they're going is associated with the ephah, which is a dry measure of grain, which is them. They think that they are to be this wheat, but as we know that it is Satan who first sifts the wheat, and you just have to keep watching. So now these descendants of Babylon are going to do this. Thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me unto you. For who hath despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice, and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro throughout the whole earth. Now, what did you learn in Job about somebody going to and fro through the whole earth? Well, that would be none other than Satan, who came unto the sons of God. We realize who we're dealing with, and we will see further here. Then answered I and said unto him, What are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick, and upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said unto him, What be these 2 olive branches? Now branches. And it's important because you need to understand my video series I did about Rev 11. There is your olive branch. There above it is your star tetrahedron with 13 stars. There is your red, white, and blue, which are the 3 colors that are associated with the 3 dogs of Orion. I'm telling you, friends, if you're not listening to me with a whole heart and sincere, you're missing it. You're truly missing it. You're missing it. Don't let some of these other people that are higher than you in your order or in this little game agenda on YouTube make you look like a fool and run around acting like howling wolves because you're so immature, and yet they're feeding you BS and they're making you think that I'm something other than your true friend that is doing everything I can to help you and to help you see in a more thorough manner that any of these people are able to do. There is not, and this, you can call this ego all you want. There's not one person on YouTube that can do what I do. Not one person. There's not one teacher on YouTube that can do what I do. And if there is, you find him. And if he is not, or is she is not teaching as I see, and if this person would put up an open debate in video form between me and them, I'm all for it. I'll go wholeheartedly into it, and I will allow everyone to see who really sees in the truth of it. Let's see who steps up. And I answered again and said unto him, What be these 2 olive branches which through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves? Now remember, they consider themselves the destiny of the house of gold. Right? Destiny of the house of gold. Now this house of gold has an agenda, and has an agenda through these Templar Knight Freemasonic orders about the seal and the tetrahedron, which are on the what? The columns, which are revealing the polarities, are they not? Everything I just told you. And then what do we see as a part of their main agenda, as I told you before? Saturn. Busted. Ringer time, right? Ringer time. Trying to bring some shame through your game, but the shame is going to be on your name. Yeah, you need to see here. You might have expected somebody a little different than me, to be sent, but we are never what you expect, ever, ever. Verse 13, and he answered me and said, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Lord. Then said he, These are the 2 anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth. Now, who's the Lord of the whole earth? Well, in retrospect, it's this golden candlestick from chapter 4. But in reality, you go back to Sumerian understandings, you'll see that Enki is the Lord of the earth. Enki is the Lord of the earth. Enki is a prince. Enki is a fallen prince. He is what is considered the planetary prince of this world. This is who they are trying to bring about, and you can see it if you understand the breakdown of the movie The Night of the Comet. Will flow seamlessly with everything I've shown you here, and it will flow seamlessly with everything that I've taught you about this Enki individual, who of course wants you to believe that he's good, and of course wants you to believe that he's got wisdom. And he does got wisdom, but he's got serpent wisdom, and we know that the serpent wisdom is crooked. And we know that Babylon means confusion. So these people that are the descendants of Babylon, that are associated with ecclesiastical Babylon, guess what? They're the most confused out of all of us. They're the most confused out of all of us. All right, so then that brings us immediately to chapter 5. I had to kind of prime you there, and maybe I should just do it right now because you need to see it. And I think that we're going to come into a time delay here between 40 minutes, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. So let me go ahead and just turn. Remember I told you that we would find the rock and the roll in the Hebrew Bible as it was associated to the song about the rock and the roll? Well, here's your flying roll here. This is about the judgment. The flying roll is the rocket, as I've showed you. And sin, moon god, but then as we know that it's going to be a dry place, and as we see their roots are withering. Notice that the tree, I forgot the time again. What I was going to show you is that this flying roll is like a cylinder. Here's the rocket appendage as it's coming from the Babylonian moon god Sin, as we see that they've been planted in a pleasant place, so they think, because they're confused. But what we see is their roots are drying up. Zion, dry place. They are withering by the wages of the repercussions of their own choices. By dealing with sin, the wages of sin are death. Notice that the tree itself now looks like a gigantic explosion. And then notice that somebody a long time ago said that this thing coming off the side of the tree looks like a worm. And if the tree is wood and we have the worm, we have wormwood. And then now we have a nuclear explosion, which really means wormwood in biblical perspectives. Spirit of truth going to lead you, as the Spirit of truth has already led me unto all truth. I'm the real deal. I don't know how to get you guys to see this. I really want these lost sheep to see this, and they should. They should, because you can prove that I knew really none of this when I began to first upload this drawing. And as you see now, I have all of the biblical evidence to support it. Absolutely, 100%. So we see that the flying roll, and I'm just going to go through this real quick. The flying roll is a judgment. All right. The vision of the candlestick in olive trees, trees of oil. All right. There we go, back here. A roll in scripture symbolism means the written word, whether of God or of man. Important. Now, what do they feel they have the right to kill us for? Because of dead letters. Give me a second. Because of dead letters. The letter killeth, and the spirit giveth life. This flying roll is associated with the false word of their law that is associated to Isaiah chapter 34, that is describing this blood sacrifice that is associated with the law of their God. This flying roll is associated with judgment. It is associated with the dead letter. Everything that these people are following. So I want you to notice that in chapter 5, well, first chapter 4 summarizes who they're trying to bring about. Because if you go to chapter 5 towards the end, it's all about this birthing. And then we know that the temple that Jesus Christ described is the true body. And then so this God of the earth is the ones that these anointed ones have been elected to bring in. These Babylonians, these confused ones. And then as we see, to finalize and consummate this sacrifice, this sacrificial fire, this flying roll is sent. And then as we see, after the flying roll is sent, then we get to the point about the ephah and these people being lifted up, which is now going to fulfill Revelation chapter 12. Then the angel that talked with me went forth and said unto me, Lift up now thine eyes and see what is this that goeth forth. What is this that goeth forth after the flying roll was sent? And I said, What is it? And he said, This is an ephah that goeth forth. He said, Moreover, this is their resemblance through all the earth. and behold. Now this is their resemblance throughout the earth. Well, throughout all the earth, they are being sifted as a wheat, but as we know that this ephah is going to translate into a dry measure of grain. Now it's going to do more than that. It's going to do something very interesting. And you've seen it before, but it has not been as powerful as you're going to see it right now. Personal name meaning darkness. Now the name means darkness. Do I have anybody that can receive here? Black Madonna, Black Widow, Dark Prince. What's that Batman symbol? It means Dark Prince, the Dark Prince. What's the chief city of Batman, home city? It's Gotham. And then we say that word, Gotham. We know that this Dark Prince is calling the believers in Jesus Christ pigs. Even calls Jesus Christ a pig with his contorted doctrine of this Hebrew letter number code that we see Matt Nicholson can't see, that he is blindly typing the doctrines of men. It's just more mumbo jumbo that doesn't mean anything. It only means something to you if you've been indoctrinated into it. And Matt, come on out of it, buddy. You're looking like a fool. I mean, I know that you're a paid agent. I know that, but yet I also know that you're still a human. I know that you're still a person, and that you still got feelings, and that you still love people, and you still want to be loved. Come on, man. Come on. Wake up, friend. Wake up. So, watch how this is going to just infinitely unfold in every way imaginable. And this is an ephah that goeth forth. He said, moreover, this is the resemblance through all the earth. And behold, there was lifted up a talent of lead, and this is the woman that sitteth in the midst of the ephah. Now, this is going to come back to Jesus Christ parable, chapter 11, verse 33, in a big way. Let's get through this. Now, let's skip over the portion. You can read it all you like. I'm not trying to keep anything from you. I'm just going to show you how the fractal goes. Pause and read all that you like. Now, let's get down here to what's kind of important. An entirely different Hebrew word with a different first letter lies behind the English ephah as a dry measure of grain. It is 1/10 of a homer and equal to 1 bath of liquid. Now we know that they're bringing this water to the moon, all right? Now we know that Enki himself is considered the Lord of the flowing waters. Are we not? Is this world not considered a water world? So Enki being Lord of the earth and this being a water world, Enki wants to be seen as the Lord of the earth, the Lord of the flowing waters. But in all reality, he's the fallen Lord that was entrusted to this water world, which is now leading the children astray. It is also equal to 10 omers. Well, 10 omers, aren't we dealing with the 10 lost tribes of Israel? Yeah, we are. Okay, a generation lost in space. Let's go back to that song real quick. Let's go to verse 4, because are we not dealing with the 44% of the monatomic gold that is going to disappear to the land of Shinar? Verse 4, oh, and there we were, all in one place. A generation lost in space. Now here we go talking about the candlestick. A candlestick. Guys, I don't think they ever expected. I don't think they expected or were prepared for a simple seer. They just weren't. And I hope that you guys are now. And then we can move forward and I can begin to teach you more things. I can teach you things about science and mathematics that you've never dreamed of. I can show you things that you can prove to yourself firsthand by you doing it. But I'm not going to do it while these people continually disrespect me and attack me. I'm not going to give them something. As Jesus Christ said, don't throw your pearls before swine. Not that I call these people pigs, but they themselves are acting like pigs. As the truth is given to them, they are just wallowing in the mud and having a good old time slinging it. Well, go for it, and I will continue to withhold from you the next level of truth. And then I will teach this next level of truth once this is all over. And you better believe that some of us are going to be here after this is all over with. And it's not the people who they think is. It's not them. It's not them that's going to inherit the earth for some murder. Okay? It's those that hold out with faith. And then we'll be able to go forth and teach the new news, the new gospel, the new truth. With Jesus, all things are made new. So now let's go from the 10 omers, and then it fulfills every way. Thus it is about 40 liters. 40 liters? Whose number's 40? Say it. Whose number's 40? Inky. Inky's number is 40. 40 liters, measure of water. Lord of the flowing waters. Though we do not have enough information to make precise estimates place it at about half a bushel. Half a bushel basket. Pretty interesting, because there's but it's about half. Now we would go 44%, pretty close to half, is it not? Right? Right? I think I missed something on the time there. It says, thus it is about 40 liters. Whose number is 40? Inky's. Lord of the flowing waters. Though we do not have enough information to make precise estimates place it at about half a bushel. Half a bushel? Jesus Christ is going to tell you in Luke chapter 11, verse 33, what that bushel's all about. Whew. Wow. Wow. So is 44%, as I told you, the 44, we know that the United States is at its 44th president, and then they're thinking that they want you to think that God's going to destroy the United States and destroy the leaders and the presidency. No, if you know anything about the fractal of monatomic gold, when it's hit with a DC electric current, this DC, this direct current that is being motivated by an alternating current, the AC, this direct current, this direct blast is coming from the 56% of the real leaders that are associated with this mystery religion that are already on the dark side of the moon that have been planning this. And when they send this direct blast, right after it, they're going to lift up, rapture form, this 44%, this remaining percentage. As we know, it says estimates place it at about half a bushel. 44 is about half, is it not? So it says the vision of Zechariah 5:7 of a woman sitting in an ephah basket. Now I'm going to get to this parable with Jesus here at the end here. Contains the imaginative images of visions, for any ephah would be far too small for a woman to sit in. Well, you gotta not see it like that. You don't gotta see it literal, of course. You got to see it in its manifestation in reality. And then now it's not too hard to see how all of this fits together. And of course, the ephah is sealed with a measure of lead. And then of course, it says that the birds flew off with a fallout shelter. There's our lead, is it not? Yes, it is. So if we're talking birds that are associated with this ephah, let's look at this word right here, ephah. Personal name meaning bird. Personal name meaning bird. Do you see how the Spirit of Truth works through time and space, even at the inception of when this book was even made, and all the inception of everything else that I've showed you is actually working for me? It's working for me in the most intense way. It's working for you. It's working for them. We just have to get them to break their doctrines of tradition that are non-progressive, that have kept them in this vicious cycle of a serpent lie. And if we can get them to break free, we might get them to understand that this black widow is bringing nothing good. Bringing nothing good. Okay. So notice here, as it goes on through, we see that the birds are there. It said, this is wickedness, and he cast it into the midst of the ephod. Now, wickedness, okay? This is that remnant. This is these people like 77 AEJ. No, I'm not calling them wicked. The biblical prophecy is calling them wicked. Now, the wickedness is twofold. It also represents this iniquitous wicked one that is associated with Enki that we see that she is trying to bring into this world. And you've seen it. Okay? So the woman has something with her. Okay? Now we know that the woman Ishtar has twofold things. She has the royal remnant, this children that believe they're this exalted select. Unreal. And murder is their privilege. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. So as we see all of this goes forth, the lead, it's been sealed. Notice that this takes place after the roll has been sent. And then the Don McLean song. The Don McLean song, same thing. Verse 3, helter skelter and a summer swelter. That's the confusion. That's the chaos that comes with the millstone. All right. And then the birds flew off. And then now, oh, there they were, all one in one place. That's going to pair up with a line in Hosea that describes them all being in this one large place. So they're a generation X. X marks the spot. They're all in one place. They're all in Shinar. They're all in the New Babylon. It tells you where the New Babylon is. It tells you that it is in this heavens. And they were lifted up, the ephah, between the earth and heaven. The moon is between the earth and heaven. Then said I to the angel that talked with me, whither do these bear the ephah? And he said unto me, to build it in a house in the land of Shinar, and it shall be established and set there upon her own base, moon base. Established? That's, of course, the column Jashin, he shall establish, which means the beauty. It means the woman. It means the sacred feminine. It means the sacred feminine. So established in her own base, to build it in a house of the land of Shinar. Now we know what the movie, as I told you, Field of Dreams is all about. It's all about that big cornfield. Well, if you know what Jesus Christ said, he said that corn is wheat. It's the same thing in biblical terms. Okay. Now, let's turn to the parable that Jesus gives us. Remember what you've seen here, that they are taking something. You saw what it was described as. It was described as a candlestick, a golden candlestick. A candlestick all of gold. That is that Ankh Goldman. That is that Enki. That is that gold calf of Samaria, the very same gold calf that is associated with ancient Hebrew idol worship. But of course we know that he is a real being and has consistently sought even himself to stop them from worshiping inanimate objects. And this is all tied up in some of their confusion and how they can't understand the scripture. He is a jealous God. He wants the children of Israel to perceive him as a reality, as a living God, even though that he's truly the God of the dead. So there's our birds. Everything is in perfect accord. There is no way to deny anything that the Spirit of Truth has shown me and that the Spirit of Truth is trying to show you. Let's go to Luke chapter 11 now to see what Jesus is going to tell us. 11. Remember, 11 is the two towers. It's the two poles. It's the two polarity. It's what they've already begun with, bringing down the two towers for 9/11. And there we have Jashin and Boaz, our two towers, which is the house of wisdom, the serpent wisdom, for using the knowledge of good and evil. Of course, the black and the white, the beast and the beauty. All right, the beast and the beauty, to bring in their dark prince, their serpent. All right, listen to what Jesus is going to tell you so you can know what he's talking about and then who he's exactly talking about. Verse 33 is no accident. No man, when he hath lighted a candle, putteth it in a secret place, neither under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that they might come, that they which come in may see the light. Are you kidding me? And then he goes into the parable about the singular eye, which is explaining that if you have a singular eye here, listen, the light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness. Let's look at something here real quick. He's saying full of darkness. What do we just show you in every way, from the Batman Dark Prince symbol to the Black Widow to this macro prosopis that we see, which is this dark sun that they're trying to bring in? Jesus is telling you what I'm trying to tell you. No man, when he lighted a candle, putteth it in a secret place, neither under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that they which come in may see the light. Where is their secret place that they are bringing this lighted candle to? Huh? Where? I gotta show you another picture with a connection here. Come on now. Hold on. Here it is. Golly day. Woohoo! Boom. Anybody notice this picture here? Remember what I told you about Cancer and the moon? Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you about, the ephah. The ephah, when we bring it up to dry measure of grain, the dry measure of grain is going to now team up with this ergo. Ergo is this cancerous black growth that grows on grain. Cancerous black growth, ergo, that you see Jakari 73, talking about, and he don't have no clue what he's talking about. Well, what did I tell you here? Cancer, right? I told you that's the timing for their sacrifice, okay? The cancer. And then we see that the very cancer itself that causes the sacrifice is seeking to escape its own self. Cancer can't escape itself. Cancer is cancer. These people are the cancer. They have allowed this cancerous, dark, black growth to grow upon them. So the ephah, dry measure of grain, is now infected with this cancerous ergo. When we say the word ergo, I think it's spelled E-R-G-O-T. Now let's divide that up. Means to make a mistake. It means to misjudge, to be wrong, to misinterpret. Ergo, cancerous dark growth. The ergo is making a big mistake. They are erring and going. Woe to the idle shepherd who shall leaveth the flock. Goeth, they are leaving. They are and they're going. They are making a huge mistake. Wake up. Now let's look to what the Spirit of Truth gave me here. Notice that we see this candle way up here. What does it have? It has this little rocket ship beside it over here. How do you get to the moon? You get there with these spacecrafts. And what do we have right here? This tetrahedral. I'm telling you guys that it has already been all given to me. And this is how I was able to consistently bring this all about. No man, when he hath lighted a candle, we know that the descendants of Babel have lighted a candle, and they seek to hide it in a secret place. on the dark side of the moon, and they are putting it within this bushel. Jesus says, neither under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that they which come in may see the light. So their dark prince is now what they believe to be this illuminated lighted candle that they are bringing to this secret place of Shinar, that is associated with this ephod, that is associated with this bushel, okay, that is being hidden in secret in darkness and brought to this special place. Jesus is going to tell you that it's all associated with this singular eye that is consumed in darkness. Is it not? It most certainly is. It most certainly is. So, my friends, I've got a lot more to say. And once again, I only got out a very small bit of what I'm trying to talk about. Really, 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 really. I pray for every one of you.